How do your guests know inside the salon that you're keeping them safe? What are you doing to keep it that way? We're discussing all that on today's podcast.
Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show.
What's up, Doug? Good to see you, brother, man.
How's it going?
Man,
all masked up here.
Hey, man, look, we haven't done a show in masks yet. We need to do a show wearing masks. For those of you guys listening on the podcast, we are wearing protective gear for your safety and ours. I'm keeping my microphone safe since Doug and I are standing way more than 6 feet apart. In fact, we've crossed the country. He's out in Pensacola. I'm here in California, but math nonetheless to keep our distance distant here, Doug. But yeah, I want to talk about this because, you know, even as you guys look at Doug and I right now, and this is Doug, I just want to say this, man, I literally have been dreaming. I've been dreaming about masks. Like I went somewhere and I had a dream in my dream. I go somewhere. I realized that I didn't bring a mask with me. And there's other people not wearing masks, and I'm like, oh my God! And somebody said to me on Facebook, they said that's the new showing up to school naked dream is showing up without your mask. So we're not gonna do the whole show in the mask for sure, but I just want to kind of talk about that because I'm sure my audio was amazing with my mask on. But we want to talk about, you know, how do you convey safety inside the salon, because there's some really important things you guys need to know. By the way, if safety has been a #1 priority for you and been a big topic that you're talking about, do me a favor and comment in the comment section and just say safety, because we're talking about today this idea about restoring guest trust inside the salon. And Doug and I were talking about this because we're getting ready to do an event and we're talking about what are the hot topics and what do we need to really make sure that we cover. Is this whole idea of restoring guest trust inside the salon is a really big thing right now, because there are some people that are still box dyeing their hair at home. They're still not sure if they can come to the salon. For crying out loud, I keep saying it, California still trying to figure out what's going on. Like California, get your crap together. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to leave it at that. But for the rest of the country, you know, there's a lot of salons that are out there that are still trying to figure out, like, how do we show our guests that we're safe? How do we restore that trust inside the salon? And I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's people got to feel good about coming in. And so people are letting their hair go longer because they don't want to expose themselves.
Right.
But I think if they understood, because, I mean, this is just the facts. Well, if you're doing the proper procedures, the fact is the salon is probably one of the safest places that you can be, because everybody's wearing masks. Everything's getting wiped down. You got sanitation everywhere. Your chances of contracting it at a salon that's doing it properly is very, very low. And I think we need to communicate that to people, that it is a safe environment to come in, but also encourage people that are sick or think they've been exposed, that, you know, obviously those people need to wait. But I think it's getting the other people comfortable, especially if you're in an area that may have spiked recently. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm in Florida and we had a spike, you know, a few weeks ago, and it got a lot of people really nervous.
Yeah.
So we did a couple of things. You know, we put it out there that, you know, that we are the safest place to be. I mean, there's very few places that could be, unless people are actually wearing spacesuits, you couldn't get much safer than what we're doing. But I think that one of the things is offering those early morning appointments to people that feel like they're in the high risk category because of either health concerns or age. Come in first thing in the morning. That is the safest time. So if you're not doing that with your guests right now, I'd strongly suggest that you're reaching out to that demographic and offering them those spaces. And people really appreciate that whenever it comes about.
Totally. And I want to say this too, right? Is this idea that, you know, salons are a super safe place, right? I mean, in California, 1,600 hours, and most of that is freaking safety training. Do you know what I mean? It's safety and handling chemicals and doing all these things that people have to do as sanitation standards. And so salons really are the safest place. But you got to remember that even though you know that as a salon owner or as a stylist, and by the way, if you think that the salons are a really safe place, do me a favor and just comment safe in the comment section. And the idea here is that, your guests don't always know what are the safety protocols and procedures. Like I know from being like a guest inside salons that like if a comb hits the ground, it's not going back on my head. Like that's a very simple thing to know, but there's a lot of guests that don't have any clue about all the safety procedures that happen inside of a salon. And so we want to talk about today on the podcast is like, well, okay, how do you make sure that people do restore their trust? Because they felt very comfortable, very safe in the salon before. But now with all this news, with all this information, with all of these things that are going on, they don't know if you're really safe. And I get salon owners, Doug, we've been talking about this in the groups, is that in our profitable salon owner group, which by the way, if anybody guys want to get into, in our profitable salon owner group, a lot of people were saying, I said, what's your biggest complaint? And they said, I got to nag every single one of my staff to keep putting their mask back on. Because every time I turn around, they're taking off their masks, or they're going to the break room, they take them off, they forget to put them back on. Like I'm like I'm the mask police trying to get it done inside the salon, right? These salon owners trying to figure it out. And Doug, you said something really, really important. By the way, if you've ever felt like the mask police, do me a favor and say police in the chat. But what are some of the things that you can do, Doug? Because nobody wants to be the mask police. Nobody wants to run around and put your mask on, put your mask on, put your mask on, right?
Right. Because that's one of the fundamental things to providing the same. Because people are going to talk, if they see around and half the staff or even a few of the staff aren't wearing their mask, then they're going to tell them, well, I was in there and I got real nervous because there were people walking by without their mask on and all this stuff. So thing is, get your staff to understand, because it's what's in it for them, right? What's in it for them. If we want to keep the books full, we want to keep people coming in, we want to keep that confidence high, then we have to make sure that what we're putting out, the people see something they can be confident in. They're not going to be confident if people are taking their mask off. So if you want your income as a stylist to stay where it deserves to stay, then you need to be conducting yourself that way. And on the owner side of it, I think you've got to give clear guidelines for your staff of how we're handling things that they feel comfortable, because they're going to get asked. They're going to get asked by their client, well, what do y'all do if someone tests positive? And at the stylist response is, I don't know. I guess we would shut the place down. I'm not sure. They need to know. They need to know, so because they're the ones that's having that interaction with the guests. So the more confident that the stylist is, that we've got good solid procedures, we've got good solid cleaning, we've got a good solid process to handle if someone becomes positive, then they're relaying that confidence to the guest. As we gotten compliments multiple times of guests saying, I feel super comfortable coming here. One, because they've known us beforehand and how we handle things, but also they see the things that we've put in place. They feel very comfortable and very safe coming to our. We've actually gained some clients. So here's an opportunity for you. We've actually gained some clients because they were going to salons that weren't following the procedures, and it made them nervous. So we've gotten friends that, hey, they figured I'd try y'all out because my friend Judy comes here and she talks about how much she trusts y'all and how well y'all are doing and that everybody's following the procedures. Yep. And I need to feel like I'm going to a place that's safe. Last place I was going to, half the people weren't wearing masks, and I just did not feel comfortable. So
right. There's a lot of, look, let's be really honest. There are a lot of salons, whether they're smaller salons, solo, like, one person in a salon, that have just said, to hell with any protocol, no matter where they are. Let's be really honest. Like, that's happening right now all over the country. There's plenty of people who are like, doing haircuts in their living room, in their bathroom. And it's just like, that's really happening all over the country right now. And going back to that idea of like what makes you feel safe and what makes you feel comfortable is like, look, if you're trying to run a legit business operation, like we have inside our academy, right? All of our members in our High Performance Salon Academy are running legit businesses. Okay. They have to uphold to the standards that have been not only given by the state that you're in, but by the country. And representing that really well is important. I think there's a couple places you need to represent it well and do this. And by the way, I want to just take a quick second and say this, is that we're getting ready to do a brand new live event coming up. Actually, let me get the date out real quick because I want to make sure that I have it. But coming up on October 19th, okay, October 19th, we're going to do an event called the Salon and Spa 2020 Bounce Back, because we have had clients right now inside our academy who have already made up all their pandemic money that they lost. They're already back on track for where they were at this time last year, even after being closed, in some cases 30, 60, or 90 days. They're already back to their same level of income. Okay, I'm not saying that's every client, because that's not everyone in our academy, but that's several of them that are already back into the same level of income they were because of some changes that we made inside their salons. And we want you as a salon owner to be able to bounce back at that same rate. So if you want to get information about coming to our upcoming event, by the way, we wanted to make it really affordable. And by really affordable, I mean free, F-R-E-E, free. So that was a huge deal. We said, we got to do something. We need to really help out salons. So we're going to do this event totally for free. It's a one-day event. It's called Salon and Spa 2020 Bounce Back. We're going to cover a ton of topics, including this one. How do you restore guest trust in the salon and get back to being book solid? That's one of the topics. Also, how to find the new money and hidden profits inside of your salon company. That's how a lot of our salons have bounced back, is we showed them a new way to make profit that they never thought of before. We also are going to talk about, what do you do if your staff gets sick or a guest gets sick? How do you handle it? What do you need to do? What protocols and processes do you put in place? Also, how you as a leader keep your head together and make sure that everyone around you, even though they're in turmoil, can still be focused and still be making things happen. And then last, we're going to show you how to find abundance and freedom as a salon owner. Like, how do you still get that back? Because I think, Doug, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think as any business owner right now, if you survived and you made it through the other side of this, you worked your face off through the pandemic. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know you did. I know I did. I know our salon owners did. Like, they worked harder than anybody I've ever met on planet Earth, and they made it to the other side. And if you did it right, that's what you did. But like, how do you then restore balance to your once sacred life that maybe existed? Or maybe it was crazy before pandemic made it even crazier. We want to put you back into some level of abundance and freedom and get you that time and get you those things back.
Yeah, I think one of the things that a lot of people that are in our group realize is they got very clear about what's important to them, what's important with their family, what's important with their business, what they want to look like, who they really want to work with,
Right.
being employees and clients. Got real clear on that. So what we're trying to do is help them and support them to take that vision forward so they don't fall into where they were before.
Right.
Because it's been a pretty good wake-up call for people to realize where it is. Now, how do you truly get into abundance and truly get that lifestyle that you're looking for, not only for you, but for your employees, and in creating that environment. It's going to take you being a certain type of leader for that to happen. And I think that's one of the hardest parts that people I've talked to are struggling with. How do I lead when people are hearing all this other stuff?
Yeah.
And it's tough. But if you make the right decisions and you do the right things and you have the right support, you can do it, and you can come out better than you were before.
Yeah.
And that's where, it's like some of our people are actually ahead of where they were last year because they have embraced some of this stuff. And as one of our clients just took a 2-week vacation, first time she's ever done it. 2 weeks put together, had an amazing time. The salon was still there. The revenue didn't drop. The building didn't burn down. And, it was a aha moment for her that because, she's created a leadership team, she's put the structure in place, they've got a strong code of honor, and been operating that now it's operating instead of her spinning plates all the time. It's operating like a real business that she can actually take a break from, which is super important. Because if you're not getting those breaks, you're not resetting your head. You are not going to be a good leader.
So by the way, if you want tickets to our upcoming event on October 19th, do me a favor and comment in the comment section just with the words bounce back. If you can put it all in one word, that'll be helpful. Bounce back, or drop us a message anywhere on social with the phrase bounce back, and we'll get you the details on how you can get completely registered for free. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 45 seconds, but one more time, do me a favor, send us either in the comment section of this post, say bounce back, or send us a direct message on Facebook, Instagram. I don't know, find me on TikTok. I don't care. Find me somewhere. Send me the message, bounce back, and we'll make it happen. We'll be right back in 45 seconds. There's a couple places I think inside the salon that this opportunity, Doug, to show people that they're safe inside the salon gets missed. I know I won't mention any names, but you said you were on the phone with somebody recently and you were like, so what's your signage like inside the salon that shows people are safe? And you said it was kind of crickets, right? Because
they were talking about a new promotion they were doing for their aesthetics area.
Yeah.
And they had gone through all the due diligence of putting together a great promotion, sounded great, sounded wonderful. I was like, okay, where's your messaging about the safety? And then it was crickets. It was like, you're like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. That one thing that's really important to the world right now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good of a promotion you got. If you didn't get past that first hurdle, which is safety, the rest of it doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, you could be giving away $1 million in there, and people don't feel safe. They're not going to show up.
Yeah.
As I think getting, and it doesn't have to be. You don't have to beat people over the head. You just have to make people feel comfortable. That needs to be addressed. I address it at the beginning and at the end. Mm-hmm. Just putting in statements that we're following all the protocols. We're one of the safest places in town. Come here. Your health is primary to us. I mean, I think when people understand that, and then you've got to reflect it, of course, when they show up in your space.
You got to back it up.
Right. It needs to be reflected. If your doors are open, then you need to be, and you're open to the public, everybody needs to be following the protocol.
Yeah. And by the way, we talked about this, like even answering the phone, Doug. I mean, it can be something as simple as that. You got to decide what's right for your salon, but even answering the phone and say, hey, thank you for calling Penthouse, Salon Spa. Where we're one of the safest places for you to come, and we're in or you could say something like, where your health and safety is important, or your health and beauty is equally as important to us. And you put something like that in a script that literally goes on the phone. Like, I know that sounds like a really minor thing. By the way, if you think that's an easy thing to do, comment with the word easy in the chat here. But I think one of the things that is really important is that as you're doing these things, that those little subtle details like that, like saying, thank you for calling, XYZ Salon. Thank you for calling Jason's Barbershop, where your, where your health and beauty are important to us. Like, those kind of things are really, really important to people. And they may not say it. They may not like come out and say, oh, thank you for doing that. But in their subconscious, they're registering that as like, okay, it's going to be a safe experience when I'm there. That builds my confidence up, and it allows me to feel like I'm in an environment where they care, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think when you get out there and you're forward with it, then because people don't want to have to ask the question, right?
Right. Yeah, like, is it safe to be there?
Right. So if you go ahead and put out there that it is safe, so they don't have to ask the question, it lowers that anxiety, their confidence level goes up, and then they're willing to come into your space. So I mean, that it is like we're talking about. It's building that trust. Like anything, it takes time to build it, and hopefully you had a good relationship with your people before that. If you said you were doing something as a business, you did it. So you did have some foundation, because it takes a little while. And so when you start doing this, you got to realize it's going to take a little while for people to start to trust that you are doing it. So I think you got to put it out there, let them know you're doing it, and then you got to show them that you're doing it. And then, like I say, you've got an opportunity to pick up other guests that have been going to places that aren't doing it well. And one of the worst things I'm thinking about right now is there's booth renters, independent contractors, and they're in a building with other people that are independent contractors. Yeah. And you're having to live with people that don't want to follow the rules at all. Yeah. And you're trying to follow everything. And because you're sharing common space, they're just sabotaging everything you're trying to do. Yeah. So I mean, that's just a tough spot to be in. So I'm thankful that we're in a commission team-based situation where we can work as a team and everybody agrees that we're going to do this together. There's no one sabotaging what we're trying to do, because that can be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, and again, just in that conversation, is make sure that that's some unity. Make sure that you've got harmony with those around you, because again, that can really do it. I think there's 3 places you really need to make sure you're communicating this, and actually maybe even 4 places. I'm gonna give you 4. There's 4 places you got to communicate. I said 3. I'm giving you a bonus one. Number 1 is you got to create a communication chain on your social media of safety. I know, quick shout out to Shelly Neff over at Urban Betty. I know she revised her logo and put the gal who's in her logo in a mask. So she revised their entire business logo to make sure that was on until further notice, right? Like, so that's been revised. So social media is a really big deal. So Facebook, Instagram, anywhere else your guests are booking. The other place you got to communicate that is in your emails. One of the things you can add is just a little signature line that just has a little safety protocol at the bottom. Maybe it's in appointment reminders and things like that. Just give them a little blurb about the safety protocols that you're taking and the procedures that you're following, your PPE requirements that are on there. Maybe there's some things that you can just put in there to let people know that it's a safe environment to be in. So we got social media, we got email. The third place, I already mentioned the tactic, but I want to give you the place, is over the phone. You know, making sure that as you answer the phone, is there a greeting? I know it sounds silly, but like, is there a greeting that talks about the health and beauty of every guest inside your salon? That might be a really big deal. And then again, same thing, like just confirming some of the safety protocols and say, hey, just wanted to remind you that if you don't have a mask, we'll provide one for you, or we do require all appointments have a mask because we want to make sure it's one of the safest environments that you can come to, and making sure that if you've been exposed or you've been in this situation, please let us know. We'd like to be able to take care of you in the best possible way and keep this a safe environment. Just simple language will make a big deal. And so we got social media, we got email, we got the phone, and the last place is in person. Right? What is the signage that's inside the salon? You know, even just walk into Home Depot today, walked in the door, and there's just a sanitation station right when you walk in the door. There's a sign that says we require all of our guests to wear masks. And again, they're nice signs. They're not just like a giant sign that's a stop sign that says, hey, wear a mask or get the hell out. Like, it's designed to be just a nicety. And the better those signs match your brand, the better they look classy and elegant, not like somebody slapped up a kindergartner drawn sign at the front door that says, hey, mask up or else, you know, stop and make sure this is on. Any of those protocols, when communicated well, just like anything else that you do, make a huge difference inside the salon. If you guys agree with me, do me a favor and type in the word agree into the chat right now as we're talking, because I want to make sure that we got that moving. And I mean, I just think it's just hands down, we'll communicate to your staff. And again, this is also like, I want to say this, and Doug, you can talk about this for a sec, but like, this is a unconscious thing, meaning or subconscious. You're registering this stuff in the background, and it's building trust without like a two-way communication, right? It's not like I said, trust me, now you trust me. It's like, you ever walked in somewhere and it's dirty, or you walked in somewhere and it's just gross, like you know, or like not to bring up a whole topic, but like gas station bathrooms, not a pretty place to go pretty much anywhere, right? You walk into a gas station bathroom and you're like, I am never going in that bathroom. But you go into a Starbucks bathroom, you go into a McDonald's bathroom, and you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty clean, but it's a reflection of that business. And so when you look at it, it's the same thing. You're not going to come out and complain about it, but you're just going to say, you know what, I'm not going back to that salon. They weren't wearing masks all the time, or they had this issue or whatever. And it can be a giant repellent, or to your point, Doug, if it's done right, it can be a huge attracting strategy for new guests.
Yeah, I mean, this is the detail game. I mean, that's all we're talking about here is you got to put these details in so that people learn to trust you. And it's like, it's the phone conversations, it's conversations in the salon, it's, you know, having that sanitizing station as soon as they walk in a welcoming, you know, that people appreciate that. Oh, this is good. I can sanitize as soon as I come in. That's great. I can sanitize when I leave. It's just the detail game. So the more that you can get these details in place, the more you're going to build that trust, and you will see people coming back to your place, and you'll see new guests coming in. Because word will get out that, you know, you're doing it and you're doing it right. You got all the details covered. So just, you know, sit down. If you got a leadership team, sit down, brainstorm how you could get these details right, what would fit for your salon, and, you know, get ready.
Yeah. So do me a favor. If any of you guys want more information about how to work with us inside the High Performance Salon Academy and getting you to bounce back, do me a favor. Just comment with the word Academy, and somebody from our team will reach out and get in touch with you. Or maybe I'll even shoot you a message and just get you some details on there. And also, like we talked about during this show, if any of you guys want to come to our upcoming Salon Spa 2020 Bounce Back event coming up on October 19th, comment with the word bounce back, and we'll get you some information, or send me a DM just with the words bounce back. Thanks so much for being on. Doug, as always, pleasure having you here. See you guys on another podcast real soon. Bye for now.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Evo Revo podcast. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.